Woke up in the morning and to God be the glory. Thankful for another day to tell my story. And we back, and we back, and we back, and we back. Da-na-na. What up, y'all? Episode 7. Week 11 of this training program, this training journey, this new world that I found myself in. Still not a runner, but we've been running. Hope all is blessed. I'm Etienne, and this is another chapter in my process of getting to the New York City Marathon. Life is crazy, things are crazy, the society that we live in is all crazy. It's easy to be consumed by it, but that doesn't do us any good. We got to keep moving, we got to keep growing, so that's where all of this comes in. I appreciate y'all tapping in with me. We've had some good running this week. Couple runs in, 2 runs down so far. Today's Thursday. A little over 8 miles run. And feeling good. Getting better, getting faster, getting stronger. Did a good job this week of adding in the workouts, the actual strength training. Lifting a little bit of weight. That's nice. That's important. Mostly for the physical maintenance, the injury prevention of it all. I've talked about that in the past. That's becoming more and more important as the fatigue accumulates. Yeah, maintenance, getting stronger, getting faster. Feeling better each time, even though the same run gets a little harder as you go further and further and further into the process of the training. So one little baby step at a time. Not really focused on the timing of it. Still, like I've been saying, more focused on just completing the runs and increasing the runs. And the stretching is hella important. I feel like it's underrated in athletics. So I'm getting there. I'm learning. Shout out to Clifton for showing me some very good stretches. Shout out to Ashley also. She's been showing me some good shit that I don't really know about on my own. And some of it I literally can't even do because the flexibility isn't set up that way. But eventually we'll get there. One thing that's been helping, big piece of the puzzle, is switching it up, keeping it interesting. It gets very monotonous in the repetition each week. It's part of the reason why running on a treadmill is so difficult and so annoying. Most folks don't really love it, at least most folks being me. But running outside is amazing. There's always something new to see. Even if you're running on the same route every time, there's different people, there's different environmental conditions. The sunset is different than the sunrise, or in the middle of the day is different than the middle of the night. And all that definitely makes it easier or harder to get through a run, especially a long run. So that's been a learning moment, a learning process, changing it up, not just staying in Manhattan, getting out to Brooklyn. Haven't done any other boroughs, but Queens is next on my list. Over the weekend, I ran both Central Park for my birthday run. That was amazing. And then also ran Prospect Park in the same weekend. Maybe a little bit more amazing because I've never really spent too much time in Prospect Park. Also changed it up a little bit when ice skating. Yes, we ice skate and we enjoy it. And we're good at it. Um, nostalgic, brought back memories. Always does. I try to do it every year on on or around my birthday. Um, Played hockey a couple hundred years ago in a past life, and I definitely traded in the skates for the Jordans and pick up the hooping in my adolescence. But that's always going to be a part of the roots. So now it's just for fun. Definitely a little bit more anxiety inducing as a 36-year-old than it was as a 8, 9, 10, 11-year-old. Just think about somebody like slicing off your nose if you fall, or losing a finger, which is crazy and irrational, but it's what I think about when I'm doing this type of stuff. Each one was a different experience. Each one was beautiful and fun and cool in its own way, and that was really helpful. One thing I just learned, or I had already known it, but I just kind of dug into a little bit deeper, is that Central Park and Prospect Park were designed by the same architects. So it kind of makes sense, and it helps explain why they're both so beautiful and so magical in different ways, but also there's a consistency, there's cohesion between the two of them in terms of the layouts, in terms of the way the trees and nature are laid out in a way to be very user friendly is what comes to mind. I don't know, it feels really nice in there in both parks. Central Park, a lot more vast, a lot more, it's just a larger space. 843 acres in Central Park versus 526 acres in Prospect Park. So Central Park is damn near almost twice the size, which is kind of crazy since Brooklyn is way bigger than Manhattan. But again, kind of just speaks to the significance and the craziness of Central Park, craziness in a good way, because Manhattan's this tiny little island, and Central Park is smack dab in the middle of it. The architect for both parks is from Hartford, Connecticut. Again, salute Hartford, Connecticut. Growing up there, it's easy to take it for granted. It's a small city. Unless you are actively doing productive and constructive things, it could feel like there's nothing going on there. But I've come to learn that that's not true. There's a lot of great people doing really dope things in Hartford, Connecticut, and in every small town across the country. So it's nice to learn that something so significant wouldn't have existed without this man from Hartford, Connecticut, Frederick Olmsted, and his partner, Calvert Vaux. Those are the two architects, Frederick being the one from Hartford. Built that Central Park in 1857 and finished it in 1876. So that's it looks like almost 20 years, damn near 20 years of building and constructing, which is crazy, but it makes sense given the scale of it. It's a big project. The wild thing that I learned is that simultaneously they also built and designed Prospect Park from 1876 to 1873. Prospect Park actually got finished first, which is wild to think that Prospect Park was a little bit of a side project, or at least that's what it seems like it was. Crazy. And they designed a whole bunch of other shit throughout the country, but those are the two that I'm most focused on given last week's runs. Super cool. I don't know about the lives of these guys much. I'm sure that being white dudes in the 1800s, there was some unsavory parts of the journey as well. I'm sure as an architect, they're wealthy, so they probably own them some humans, maybe even some black and brown humans. I hope that's not true, but I didn't write history. It is what it is, but nonetheless, huge contribution to the world, at least to the 5 boroughs here. Other side of the coin and other side of that beauty of a place like Central Park is that before Central Park, there was a whole community and settlement called Seneca Village, full of black folks who got displaced and who got basically wiped away because of this project and because of this large park that the wealthy folks in Manhattan and in New York City needed or wanted. So it's pluses and minuses to everything. Nothing's all good, but also nothing's all bad because shit, I had a really nice run in those parks. And I think, at least for me, a little tiny percentage of my resistance or just awareness of how this world works is making sure I fucking enjoy my time here. I can't let them have my peace of mind as well as everything else that's already been had. So hope you're able to find the little things that you enjoy as well. It's important. These runs have become sacred for me. Time of the day when kind of tune out all the wild stuff that I was alluding to in the beginning and just focus on feeling better and getting better and living longer. That's the name of the game right now. Pay attention when you're running. Look around. Get off the phone. Not just when you're running, but always. But definitely on a run. Running through downtown Brooklyn on my way to Prospect Park and almost stepped on a dead rat. Huge one. Master Splinter sized rat. Not great. Not good for the running shoes. I was able to swerve and we missed her, but yeah, easily could have been a nice little squishy part of my run that I would have loved to avoid and was able to avoid, thank God. But another one, and this is a run, and a sunrise run. So I left, it was dark outside. Probably left around 6:30, 6:45, maybe a little before that. And you're just weaving through traffic with fucking rats, just choo, choo, live ones. I just noted to myself, pay attention, my boy. Yesterday, I'm running here in Manhattan and almost got taken out by what I imagined was a Uber Eats bike driver. Might have been going 50 miles an hour on this goddamn pedal bike. And he for sure wasn't being diligent about the rules of the road because I had the right of way and the pedestrians had the walk sign. But he almost clipped me. And that pisses me off. I'm not gonna lie to you. We're walking our daughter, pushing the stroller, and cars are a whole thing of their own. But there's so many of these delivery drivers because we millennials and those before us and those after us all, as well. Literally everyone orders everything online, even if it's something that you can and should get off the couch and go get yourself. Guilty. I do it too. I'm trying to do it less, but it's just a part of life. That's how it works, and convenience is helpful a lot of the time. We work our asses off, so no shade, but just pay attention. Head up, eyes open. Each one teach one, running downtown Brooklyn, ran across 560 State Street, which, if you're a Hove fan, you already know what that is to the world. It's where he got started, and one of the places he got started, and was able to grow from, transcend the street pharmaceutical career into his artistry and his music career, and now his business empire and enterprise. So just had me thinking about the gentrification, the way that these cities and towns and landscapes evolve or devolve. Not all bad, it's not all good, you know. A neighborhood getting safer, I'm all for that. People getting displaced, and culture and history getting erased, not so much. Can you have one without the other? I think so. Do I know how? I don't. Smarter people than me will figure that out, but it's just interesting. I ran past that building and I peeked my head inside just out of curiosity or whatever, and I was just thinking, like, this probably looks a lot different than it did when the Jigga Man was out here doing his Jigga Man thing, when he was becoming Jovito, when he was going from Sean to Jay, and it's just fascinating. So, not to be taken lightly or taken for granted, the evolution of all these things. Also was thinking about music versus podcasts when I'm running. I don't know if you listen to music, or I'm sure most folks listen to music when they're running. But if you listen to pods at all, I've shifted a lot of my listening time in the last 5 or so years from music, big music head growing up, hip hop mostly, but everything. Had my little emo punk rock phase in the teenage years, as we all probably did. Blink 182 is still a favorite. I don't know why I keep saluting, but salute Blink 182. Travis Barker's a GOAT, all three of them. But huge music consumer and lover and listener growing up, coming from the LimeWire days, iPod days, CDs and tapes. I remember sitting in the garage in Bloomfield listening to the radio and waiting for your favorite song to come on so you could record it and get it on a cassette tape, because you don't know when you're going to hear it again next. You might never hear it again. And so many things have happened, mainly Steve Jobs, but a whole bunch of other folks as well, and projects to get us to where we are now, where we have literally the history of music in our pocket while we're on a run. But now that we're here, I've kind of fallen in love with podcasts. Some of them a little junk food-esque, some of them more nutritious. One of my favorites I spoke about in last week's pod being Higher Learning with Van Lathan and Rachel Lindsay. Love it. The JBP, love it. Grits and Eggs podcast is a new one that I'm learning about and really delving deeply into, because I think it's important. Van put me onto that one in one of his recent episodes. That one I'm not really listening to on Apple Music quite as much. On the streams, I really like that on YouTube with the visuals. But I listen to different pods in different ways. And I find that the music during a run helps me get a little bit more amped up and helps me get motivated when I need to, when the miles are wearing on you and it feels like a grind. But the podcast can help me kind of tune out and not think about the fact that it's difficult, or not think about the fact that I still have hella long to go. So there's advantages to both. Especially a long form podcast like the JVP, 2 hours. That'll get you through a long run, and it helps a lot. Who knows? Maybe this will be that for somebody at one point in time in the future. If not, it's fine. I'm doing this just to kind of exhale and dump all this information and these thoughts externally while I'm going through this journey of getting ready for the marathon. But if it could be helpful in the way that those platforms have been helpful to me, then that's a win. That's a bonus. Still on paternity leave. It's been blessed. Definitely one of my favorite times in life. Just being here with my daughter. I can hear her in the other room. She just woke up, so I'm gonna wrap this up. But it's incredible. It makes me think about how I can't imagine not being here with her every day. I know once I'm back at work fully, I'll be here less, and a little sad about that, a little anxious about that, but I'm also going to still be here every day, seeing the stages, watching her learn to talk, learn to eat food, solid food, watching her learn to walk and have a more dynamic personality. Wouldn't trade that for the world, and I absolutely cannot understand how folks can bring little ones here and not be there for that. You chose it. They didn't choose to be here. None of us chose it. We're just here. So handle your business. I won't tell anybody to do anything, but I'm doing my best to handle my business, and it absolutely feels amazing. There's nothing sweeter that I've experienced. There's nothing more fulfilling, seeing the little smile and seeing her use her Wolverine claws to grab my face. It's amazing. It's special. It's magical. Shoutouts. Shout out a couple of folks who just I admire, who I learned from. Gotta go with number one, Mark Lamont Hill. I know I talked about the JVP last week, but I respect the hell out of Mark Lamont Hill for just his ability to storytell and to be a journalist and educate and enlighten all of us. I think he does it pretty objectively, but maybe that's my bias. He's a professor, he's a broadcaster, but he's also I won't say what I want to say because it puts us in a box, but I want to say a real you-know-what, but he's a regular dude. He owns his flaws, and he, highlights his strengths and uses them to our advantage, and that means a lot. I don't take that for granted. He's able to break all these very dense current events down into layman's terms that folks like myself, who are not as academic as I would like to be, can digest and can understand. Another one, this one might be a little bit more polarizing to some, but I think it's important, is Cameron, Killer Cam. It's been dope as fuck to watch him go from the rapper and kind of street OG, young OG. We watched his journey. All of us who were around those early Dipset days, Harlem World days. Watch him to go from that to wearing suits and having a platform that is what it is. No pun intended. It's been super cool. It's been dope. Very important to see him rebuild the bridge with Mace. We all we got. And I know we have falling outs. I've had falling outs. I have falling outs right now with family members, relatives. I'm also doing a better job of distinguishing between family and relatives. I think family comes with actions and responsibilities and duties, whereas relatives is just DNA, just genetics, and I don't really care for that. I don't really value that as much as I value love and support and showing up and sacrifice, all that type of stuff. Cameron, gotta shout him out. The journey has been incredible. I can see that he's doing the work to get better at his craft in this podcast world. Can tell that he's a sports lover. But even stuff like how he was able to call out the BS when Buddy was on the podcast being inappropriate and hitting on his co-host. He drew the line and called that for what it is, which is some bullshit. And his handling of a situation like that is worthy of respect, regardless of what you think about him as a podcaster or a rapper. This is a man who carries himself with integrity, and we need more of that. Same world, same ecosystem. Treasure Wilson, young woman who's glowing up right before our eyes. I love and respect her for, obviously she's good at the journalism and she kind of brings a professionalism to their platform that's important, but also her ability to mediate these two extremely strong personalities. And when she calls out Mace for chatting or or being bandwagon, they all do it. And Mace is incredible, and he's beautiful in his owning of some of those things. But her ability to help navigate and be the glue between these two legends is impressive. It's important. We need more of that. Keep going. You're going to shape this journalism thing as we know it, and we'll be better for that. And so I hope you were able to inspire young ladies. I have a daughter, and one day she's going to look at folks like yourself and hopefully learn from the good parts of your journey, your glow up. Tiana Taylor, Golden Globe speech, second to none. Watching her go from this young lady in Harlem who's as New York City and as Harlem as can be, but watching her go from that young lady at the Sweet 16 on MTV or whatever platform it was on to this multi-hyphenate powerhouse of an individual and of a businesswoman and of a creative. We need more of that. So hopefully the work that Tiana is doing can help inspire the next generation to be as beautiful and as talented as she has become. And it was always in there, as we can see from those early days of the Sweet 16 times, and her style, swag, creativity, all of that. It was always in there, but it takes work and takes persistence and consistency to pull it out and to optimize it, to maximize it, and to continue it. So shout out to Tiana Taylor. And then last but not least, someone who I've admired since I very first learned about him. Nipsey, Neighborhood Nip. And then also I got a shout out to Black Sam as well. I just watched his Big Boy interview, and it's heavy, but it's important. And those two, brotherly love and collaboration and prioritizing the right things. Can't say enough about that. We need more of that. We need to see Nip's journey. As unfortunate as the end was, it's been absolutely incredible to see Black Sam keep the baton and continue running, even though we know it's painful and it hurts, and he probably questions everything every single day. I don't want to speak for him, obviously, but I can only imagine. And he spoke a little bit about that in the Big Boy interview. So, folks, taking care of one another and supporting one another and empowering one another, especially folks who come from the same place. We need that. Shout out to Nip, shout out to Nipsey, shout out to Black Sam. Their team, I know that it wasn't just the two of them. There's people behind the scenes who probably don't get enough credit, whose names we should know, and whose names some people do know, people more tapped in than myself, but those two were what they like to call the front line, and I learned from that even to this day. So that's what I got. Thank you for your time. Thank you for the journey. I'm Etienne. This is my road to the New York City Marathon, and I am excited to keep it going. Peace. Love.